CISA under fire. How politicized oversight threatens U.S. cybersecurity leadership. A directive against the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, and its former director, Christopher Krebs, raises concerns over the agency's neutrality, operational stability, and future role in public-private cyber defense. According to Greyhound Federal Cyber Readiness Pulse 2025, 59% of federal cybersecurity professionals reported having paused or delayed initiatives in the past year, not because of funding or threats, but due to procedural ambiguity and fears of post-decision scrutiny. Reviews of this nature risk compounding those delays by introducing uncertainty at a time when speed and clarity are paramount. What is being framed as a routine retrospective review may, in practice, carry chilling effects on CISA's forward-facing operations. This review may create decision bottlenecks, delay funding approvals, and slow project momentum in mission-critical areas such as AI-based intrusion detection, zero-trust architecture rollouts, and quantum vulnerability mitigation, said Sanchit Gogia, Chief Analyst and CEO at Greyhound Research. This directive risks complicating that role. Even if the intent is accountability, the impact may be hesitation from enterprise stakeholders who fear that participating in federal programs, particularly those around threat intelligence, could carry future reputational or legal baggage, Gogia said, as quoted in computerworld.com. Additional comments by Greyhound Research Analyst. Neutral no more. The threat to CISA's credibility in a politicized environment. At Greyhound Research, we believe the directive to reevaluate CISA's past 6 years of work, coupled with the abrupt revocation of security clearances for former Director Chris Krebs and colleagues at SentinelOne, risks gutting the agency's perceived neutrality. CISA has historically played the role of a nonpartisan sentinel, neither beholden to political pressure nor swayed by the election cycle. Its credibility, particularly in politically sensitive domains like voting infrastructure security and disinformation mitigation, has been hard-earned and critical to its effectiveness. The overt targeting of Krebs, who led the agency's election integrity efforts in 2020, sends an unmistakable message to future agency leaders. Technical expertise and truth-telling may come with a personal cost. This could set a dangerous precedent, signaling that politically inconvenient facts may lead to professional retribution. It also risks cementing the belief among adversarial nation-states that American cybersecurity agencies are internally fractured, a perception that could be exploited for further disinformation campaigns. In one recent Greyhound field note, gathered during conversations with enterprise CISOs and private sector stakeholders, we observed a growing discomfort. One senior leader described the situation as the politicization of cyber oversight, a sentiment that reflects declining confidence in the agency's nonpartisan positioning. This shift is reflected in Greyhound Cybersecurity Confidence Pulse 2025 data. Just 41% of respondents in our Cybersecurity Confidence Barometer expressed consistent confidence in public sector cyber communications. While this does not imply distrust in the government, it signals rising concern about shifting priorities, messaging consistency, and perceived institutional stability during leadership transitions. Planning paralysis, operational disruption from retroactive oversight. What is being framed as a routine retrospective review may, in practice, carry chilling effects on CISA's forward-facing operations. At Greyhound Research, we believe this review may create decision bottlenecks, delay funding approvals, and slow project momentum in mission-critical areas such as AI-based intrusion detection, zero-trust architecture rollouts, and quantum vulnerability mitigation. In one Greyhound field note, based on our multi-year tracking of U.S. federal modernization programs, we analyzed the early oversight period of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs via Electronic Health Record Modernization (EHRM) initiative by the Office of Inspector General (OIG). Even before formal audits were completed, oversight activities triggered resource freezes, interagency hesitation, and substantial slowdowns in forward execution. A similar pattern may unfold at CISA if internal resources are pulled into legal review, risk compliance, and defensive documentation efforts. This concern is supported by findings from Greyhound Federal Cyber Readiness Pulse 2025. In that study, 59% of federal cybersecurity professionals reported having paused or delayed initiatives in the past year, not because of funding or threats, but due to procedural ambiguity and fears of post-decision scrutiny. Reviews of this nature risk compounding those delays by introducing uncertainty at a time when speed and clarity are paramount. A talent exodus in the making, CISA's morale crisis. At Greyhound Research, we believe morale isn't just a cultural concern, it's an operational signal. Cybersecurity professionals working in high-pressure, public-facing agencies like CISA often sacrifice higher private sector salaries in exchange for mission, impact, and institutional protection. This directive threatens that compact by raising fears of reputational exposure for decisions made in good faith. In one recent Greyhound field note, during our closed-door roundtable on critical infrastructure resilience, mid-career cybersecurity leaders from public and quasi-public entities shared fears that their work could be reinterpreted in politically sensitive cycles. One participant remarked, "We're told to act fast, speak truth, and protect systems. But who protects us when the winds change?" The ripple effects are measurable. According to Greyhound Cyber Talent Stability Pulse 2025, 72% of respondents in public sector cyber roles stated they're either open to or actively pursuing roles in the private sector. The number one driver cited was not salary, but a perceived decline in institutional backing and long-term career resilience. This risks hollowing out the middle management layer, the very tier that bridges policy intent with technical execution. Fractured trust, the risk to public-private cyber collaboration. CISA has, over the past few years, carved out a critical role as the convening point for public-private cyber collaboration. At Greyhound Research, we believe this directive risks complicating that role. Even if the intent is accountability, the impact may be hesitation from enterprise stakeholders who fear that participating in federal programs, particularly those around threat intelligence, could carry future reputational or legal baggage. In one Greyhound field note, drawn from interviews with CISOs at telecommunications and financial firms, executives shared that their legal teams are now re-evaluating the terms of current threat-sharing partnerships. As one senior CISO put it, "We've been taught to escalate threats to CISA early, but now we're asking, will today's intel memo be tomorrow's political football?" That sentiment is mirrored in Greyhound Threat Intelligence Partnerships Pulse 2025. In that tracker, trust scores in joint government enterprise cyber initiatives declined 19 percentage points year over year. The top three concerns cited were 1. Procedural ambiguity, 2. Fear of political reinterpretation, and 3. Lack of long-term engagement stability. This doesn't mean companies are pulling out, but they're starting to distance themselves from high-profile collaborative efforts. The bigger picture, long-term fallout for the cybersecurity ecosystem. At Greyhound Research, we believe that the global cyber community watches U.S. institutions not just for their innovation, but for the integrity and durability of their governance models. This directive, targeting past leadership and triggering comprehensive reviews, risks being perceived as instability rather than oversight. In a recent Greyhound field note, gathered from briefings with multinational security software vendors, cloud platform providers, and policy leaders in Singapore and Brussels, several expressed concern that institutional continuity in U.S. cyber governance may no longer be a given. These are not concerns about technical skill, but about governance predictability and continuity, particularly around standards, coordination, and long-term frameworks. According to Greyhound Global Cyber Governance Pulse 2025, enterprise leaders are increasingly looking to governance models that offer greater continuity, cross-sector stability, and neutrality. While the United States remains a key benchmark for cyber innovation, some global organizations have cited the European Union and Singapore as examples of policy environments that currently feel more predictable in their approach to long-term engagement and standard setting. Analyst in Focus, Sanchit Gogia. Sanchit Gogia, or SVG as he is popularly known, is a globally recognized technology analyst, innovation strategist, digital consultant, and board advisor. SVG is the chief analyst, founder and CEO of Greyhound Research, a global, award-winning technology research, advisory, consulting, and education firm. Greyhound Research works closely with global organizations, their CXOs, and the board of directors on technology and digital transformation decisions. SVG is also the founder and CEO of the House of Greyhound, an eclectic venture focusing on interdisciplinary innovation. Copyright policy. All content contained on the Greyhound Research website is protected by copyright law and may not be reproduced, distributed, transmitted, displayed, published, or broadcast without the prior written permission of Greyhound Research or, in the case of third-party materials, the prior written consent of the copyright owner of that content. You may not alter, delete, obscure, or conceal any trademark, copyright, or other notice appearing in any Greyhound Research content. We request our readers not to copy Greyhound Research content and not republish or redistribute them, in whole or partially, via emails or republishing them in any media, including websites, newsletters, or intranets. We understand that you may want to share this content with others. So we've added tools under each content piece that allow you to share the content. If you have any questions, please get in touch with our community relations team at connect@thofker.com.